Hell is other people. It's one of those lines people quote with confidence and almost no precision. Usually, it's taken as a complaint, a clever way of saying that other people are exhausting, disappointing, or unbearable. But that reading misses something more unsettling. Because the real question isn't why are other people hell? It's this: why don't the characters leave? In No Exit, three characters, Garcin, Inès, and Estelle, are locked together in a room after death. No mirrors, no windows, no physical torture, just each other. The standard interpretation is familiar. Sartre isn't rejecting relationships. He's illustrating a psychological truth. We are trapped in other people's perceptions. We cannot control how we are seen. And that loss of control becomes a form of torment. This is usually where the analysis stops. Hell is other people becomes a sophisticated way of saying, being judged feels bad. But that's too easy. And it doesn't explain the most important detail in the play. At one point, the door opens, and no one leaves. This is the detail that should bother you. If the room is hell and the door opens, then the problem should be solved. The structure of the punishment is broken. Escape is possible. And yet, the characters hesitate. They stall, they make excuses, and ultimately, they stay. So the situation is stranger than it first appears. They are not simply trapped by others. They are, in some sense, choosing to remain in the trap, which forces a more uncomfortable interpretation. Maybe hell is not being judged. Maybe hell is needing the judgment. Each character enters the room with a fragile version of themselves they want confirmed. Garcin insists he is not a coward. Estelle needs to be seen as desirable. Inès, more lucid than the others, understands the game immediately. Identity here is not something you assert. It's something you extract from others. This is where Jean-Paul Sartre's idea of the look becomes concrete. To be seen is not neutral. It transforms you. It turns you into an object in someone else's world, a thing that can be judged, reduced, fixed. But in No Exit, something more extreme happens. The characters don't just suffer from being seen, they begin to depend on it. Garcin doesn't just want to be brave. He needs Inès to say he is. Without her recognition, his identity collapses. His past actions are no longer enough. His own interpretation of himself doesn't hold. This is the first shift. Freedom, in Sartre's philosophy, means that we define ourselves through our choices. But here, that freedom becomes unstable. Garcin has already acted. His life is over. And yet he cannot stabilize what those actions mean. So he turns outward. He asks again and again for confirmation. And Inès refuses. Not because she enjoys cruelty, though she does, but because she sees the truth of the situation. She understands that identity, once exposed to others, is no longer self-contained. It is negotiated, and negotiation means vulnerability. Estelle follows a different path, but arrives at the same dependency. Without mirrors, she cannot see herself. She cannot confirm her own desirability. So she uses Garcin as a substitute reflection. She asks him to describe her, to validate her, to make her real. She doesn't just want attention. She needs it to exist in the way she understands herself. The room, then, is not simply a space of judgment. It is a system that removes every alternative source of self-definition. No solitude, no reflection, no external world, no future actions to redefine the past. Only other people. And this is what makes escape so difficult. Because leaving the room doesn't just mean leaving the others. It means losing the only remaining source of identity. This is the inversion that makes the line land differently. Hell as other people does not mean that other people are inherently intolerable. It means that once your identity becomes dependent on them, you are no longer free in any meaningful sense. The torture is not that others judge you. The torture is that their judgment begins to matter more than your own. That is why the open door doesn't solve anything. Garcin cannot leave, because leaving would mean abandoning the possibility of being recognized as brave. Estelle cannot leave, because she would lose the gaze that confirms her desirability. Even Inés, who understands the mechanism, remains entangled in it. They are free, in the most literal sense, and yet they cannot act on that freedom, because their sense of self is no longer self-sustaining. It is outsourced, and once that happens, freedom becomes theoretical. You can walk out of the room, but you cannot walk out of the need to be seen. The disturbing force of Sartre's line is not that it insults other people. It's that it exposes a structure we participate in constantly. In ordinary life, we move between different rooms, different social contexts, different audiences. We adjust, recalibrate, reinvent. That fluidity gives us the illusion of control, but the mechanism is the same. We check how we are perceived. We anticipate judgment. We edit ourselves in response to it. And more quietly, we begin to rely on it. Not all at once. Not completely. But enough. Enough that certain versions of ourselves only feel real when someone else confirms them. And that raises an uncomfortable possibility. If you were placed in that room, no mirrors, no escape from other people's perception, would you actually leave? Or would you hesitate just long enough to hear one more judgment? One more confirmation? One more answer to the question you can't quite settle on your own. Who am I when no one is looking?